Yes, we had a meeting on March 8th, 2011 at the meter shop. The union was there, the SEIU union was there, management was there, and an individual from HR. In that meeting, there was roughly about 15 to 18 individuals, men who worked there at the meter shop. During the meeting, we all spoke about an individual who we were having issues with. The individual was a supervisor who held no respect for the men, who disrespected them, treated them like dirt. Numerous times we spoke to management, also we spoke here to HR, and nothing was done. Everything fell upon deaf ears. So that day of the meeting on March 8th, we came down, HR came down to the meter shop, and out of the 19 people that were in that office building, 4 men stood up and expressed their feelings and expressed what was been going on in that meter shop. On March 8th, later in that afternoon, after the meter was over, an anonymous letter was hand-delivered to HR, Lois Frankel, David Hanks, and Carol Stewart of HR. David Hanks being the utilities director. The letter, in that letter, the complaint was that supervisor that we had spoken up about had came into the meter shop one day and dropped the N-word. Now, in that morning, there was a group of men down there, colored men, Spanish men. I mean, there was no women present, but everybody was offended by that.
Wow.
And what happened after that was that's when the anonymous letter was sent downtown, because according to the city rules and the ethnics training we received, we were entitled to send that letter. So when that letter reached the HR department at 2 p.m. that afternoon, 7 o'clock on March 9th, the HR department came down to the meter shop at 7 in the morning and grilled everybody about the issue. We were interrogated on the letter. We were asked who wrote the letter. We were asked did you know who wrote the letter? And we were asked, do you know who sent the letter? Now, according to the civil law, that was a violation of our rights. We were not to be grilled with that. That was wrong. The city did wrong.
Absolutely.
On that. They jumped the gun. They didn't check with their attorneys. They did not. They came and they violated our rights. They violated the City Civil Rights Act. On March 9th, at the end of the interrogation, nothing was said. March 10th, 2011, I, and 3 other individuals were given letters by HR that we were being placed on administrative leave with no pay, pending the investigation.
Wow.
We didn't know what we were being charged with yet. It just told us we were being placed on administrative leave, pending the investigation. So we were escorted off city property, and as of now, being, this is now May 6th, we had our hearing. The city could not charge us for that letter because it was protected. The city made a very big mistake they did by interrogating us on that letter.
Yeah.
They realized they made their mistake, but it was pretty much too late. They had no other charges on us. So then the city went back and GPS'd our vehicles on March 8th and March 9th, 2011. According to the city now, they're stating that we have a few hours of undocumented time. They gave us those charges and they gave us a hearing date. Everybody was served, and then we had time to go home and get our record straight. We came back on March 31st, 2011, and we went to our individual hearings. We arrived at this building at 8 a.m. that morning, and we did not leave till 6 and 7 p.m. that night. We were here all day.
Wow.
Each individual was able to go and dispute these charges. I went in and I was interrogated beyond belief. I accounted for all my time that I was out there, I accounted for my locations out there, and I accounted for 10-16, 10-8 radio, on the radio. Apparently that wasn't good enough for the city. Apparently it wasn't good enough for Mr. David Hanks, and it wasn't good enough for Anthony Carabas. Because David Hanks' mission was to terminate us, regardless. Another incident is we were not given warnings. We weren't given written reprimands. We weren't given nothing. This was sprung on us the same day that letter went out. So it's very coincidental how they sent out that anonymous letter received on the 8th and the 9th in the investigation, and the 10th were been placed on administrative leave with no pay. There's no correlation between that. What I don't understand is how the city receives a letter of anonymous letter of a racial remark, investigates the letter, finds the letter to be true, terminates the individual. It should be case closed. You found the person admitted to it, the person was fired. So how does the city go from one extreme to another? It is retaliation. It is all retaliation. That's what David Hanks and Anthony Carabas wants to do. They retaliated against us because David Hanks thinks that we had something to do with that letter. Regardless if we did have something to do with that letter, or regardless if we didn't, it was protected activity under the Federal Civil Rights Act.
Absolutely.
They could not touch us.
Wow.
So they took it upon their own means to find something else, as a city usually does. It dug up stuff. I've been with the city for 8 years. There's been gentlemen that were with me for 20 years, 28 years, yet the city turned around and GPS'd it for 2 days after that letter. The letter was March 8th. We were GPS'd the 8th and the 9th. And the 10th, we were placed on administrative leave. We had our hearing. Each of us had our own hearings. We did what we could. We all told the city what we accounted for all our time, and yet the city still fired us on it. The charges they have are nothing but shoddy paperwork. We should have got a warning. We should have got a reprimand, maybe a couple days suspension. But they jumped the gun and fired us. Wow. So what I'm doing here is I'm not angry because I know the truth. And I know the truth is going to come out. That's all I want to do, is have the truth come out. I want the people of West Palm Beach, the taxpayers, to know what goes on behind these city doors. I want them to know what goes on in management and how horrible they are to their people.
Wow.
And a majority of the stuff I have, I can prove. Just, I need somebody to let me do it. I have my proof. I can prove the charges are false or charges are inaccurate. I can prove that. And what I've been doing is I've been sitting out in front of the City Hall down here in Clematis and Dixie for the last week, rain or shine, because I need to get the truth out.